Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features Wolverine 34, cover dated December 1990. The cover caption, "A Devil in the Dark," that is this creature here. Of course, is an implication that perhaps it's Wolverine 2 who might be a devil in the dark. The cover is by Marc Silvestri, inked by Dan Green, and this is a done-in-one issue by Hama, Silvestri and Green, and Glynis Oliver on colours, and I think that this is Glynis Oliver colouring the cover too. It's a beautiful image of this massive werewolf type creature falling off the edge of a cliff here, and it'll turn out to be in the Canadian mountains in northern Alberta that the story is set. And one of the things I've mentioned before with my previous review videos of Marc Silvestri and Larry Hama's run on Wolverine is that Silvestri art-wise is fond of drawing without a ruler, without gridding out the backgrounds. And of course, the best location to exercise that preference is in nature. And the whole of this story is set in nature. And also another thing I've pointed out is that Dan Green, for this particular run of inking Silvestri's work, is inking with brushes only. He's not using any pens whatsoever in the first half of his run on the title with Silvestri, and you'll see the fruits of that in the interior art for this particular comic. So let's move beyond this beautiful cover and open it up to the splash page, and we do indeed get a splash page, and the title of the story is The Hunter in Darkness, so a variation on the cover caption, and it opens with this fantastic image of Wolverine. It'll turn out he's naked and skewering with his adamantium claws here a big, it looks like to me, salmon in the water. This is really great image. I love the way that Silvestri has conceived this waterfall behind Wolverine, and then the fishes there as well with the scaly texture of their skin as well. It's so well done. So the creative team here: Larry Hama script, Marc Silvestri pencils, Dan Green inks, Pat Brousseau lettering, and Glynis Oliver colouring. So Wolverine is he's in Canada. He's in Buffalo Woods State Park in northern Alberta, nearest concentration of human habitations 100 miles away. As the crow flies, he says in his first person narration, "If I want dinner, got to kill it myself." So before I turned the page on this, it made me wonder whether he was going to cook that salmon. So bear that in mind as we continue with the story. Look at this, another couple of beautiful pages here. The only straight lines in this issue are the borders of the panels themselves. Everything else, there is no ruler being used, no tools. Everything is being done by eyeball. It's amazing. You can even see that here in this particular panel where we have the interior of a courtroom, and you can see when you follow the lines here of the piece of furniture that the judge is sitting at, that it's all done by eye, no ruler involved. In any case, Silvestri pulls the camera back so that we see naked Wolverine in the middle of this lake here. And I love the kind of realization of nature all around. We get another angle on that waterfall. We get to see these pine and fir trees bare in the foreground. And then, excuse me, the evergreen pine and fir trees there in the background on the other side of the lake. So he's emerging from the lake. He's got his shirt there drying, or well, not drying, but hanging on a branch. And then the Royal Canadian Mounted Police arrive, and the younger policeman says to his older compatriot, the sergeant, he says, "Got to be a wacko, Sergeant Doolan, sitting there butt naked in this weather." And Doolan says, "I'll deal with him, Morris. You there? What's your business out here?" And I like this response from Wolverine, the way that Larry Hama writes him. He's so laconic and clipped in the way that he talks. It's so good. He just responds here with one phrase: "campin'." And then he elaborates. And remember what I was saying about the big salmon? He's just tucking into it raw. Just really tucking into it there. I like the way that Silvestri's rendered that. It really looks like he's going to enjoy himself on that raw salmon. And he says to the Mounties, he says, got permits? Want to see him? Want some dinner? No thanks, says Doolan. Kind of cold to be this far out with no tent, no bedroll, no fire. He doesn't make any comment on him being naked. Anyway, he racks around in his rifle, and Wolverine turns around finally for that, and he says, no call to lock and load on me. No bad blood between me and the RCMP. So Doolan says, maybe not. Tain't one to take chances. You got a face that rings a bell, like I saw it once. Maybe on a wanted poster. You been in these parts before? And Wolverine responds, not that I remember. And of course, Wolverine has many memory gaps when it comes to his mysterious past. I like the little detail here in the art, but Hama doesn't do anything dialogue-wise of the younger Mountie just going for his gun there, expecting trouble. And then when it all fizzles away, he's looking relieved there, showing the wanted poster to Wolverine. So the sergeant says, it'll come back to me. Wave the want sheet at him, Constable Morris. So the constable does so, and then we get this story about this guy, Athabasca Ike, grabbed a gun from a guard at his own murder trial down in Edmonton, shot his way out and disappeared. So we can see that in the montage in the background here. Showed up in Fort Chipewyan, gunned down a whole family, the Golightleys, real nice folks, stole their Jeep and took off in this direction. You see him, you steer clear here, says the young constable. But that's not Logan's way. So he's putting on a shirt now, dinner's over, and he sniffs, wind shifted, warm Chinook out of the west. And he says here, he's heading for the high country on foot. Got a young girl with him. He gets through the high passes, you'll never find him. And that's where we're looking towards in the shot as well. So well done, this combination of the dialogue and the visuals by Hama and Silvestri. So the sergeant asks, how do you know that? We just found his Jeep, busted axle. Pretty sure you took the Golightly girl with him, just 16. But you didn't know any of that. You sniffed that out of the air. You a Blackfoot, some kind of breed? And Wolverine says, wish I knew. You want my help tracking this Athabasca Ike? We'd best get moving. The dark comes up mighty fast out here this time of year. Especially, the sergeant says, when the hunter in darkness is prowling the woods again. This is a really tightly plotted story. Everything that is set up here in the first act of the story is going to yield narrative fruit and tie together at the end. This is a done in one. It's so well done. I love the little Dutch angle here of Wolverine tossing his backpack into his Jeep here, and just everything else in silhouette, the trees and the Mounties there in the background. So well done. So they're in the Jeep and driving off, and then we get a little bit more about this hunter in darkness, and the sergeant says it isn't a legend. He says, I took a shot at it with this here Winchester back before you cut your first teeth. And Morris is a little skeptical, shooting at shadows, were you, Sarge? I like the way that Wolverine is just relaxed there in the back seat. And so we get the story. Can a shadow tear apart a steel bear trap and snap a forged chain? Trap must have ripped out a chunk of leg, about the size of a cured ham. Didn't stop that beastie none, caught up with it in these very hills and drilled it dead center with a 152 grain 30-30 slug. Lung shot at the very least, and it kept right on going. Interesting choice here from Silvestri to show this flashback, not with the usual device of the curved panel border, but rather open panel borders for the flashback for Doolan's memories. And he continues and says, I followed the blood trail, across a mile of rough country until it stopped dead, as if the beastie healed itself up. Now, the hunter in darkness, there's a little clue here that it's not the beast itself because of that moon in the background, or is it a setting sun or rising sun? In any case, it's a little clue when you think about it, when you go back and reread it, as I've done, that isn't the beast. But I like this little bit where after Doolan says he shot the creature through the lung, that you've got Wolverine here just pulling his shirt back and showing a little scar there, a little reddened scar. Is it him who was shot through the lung? I think at this point, I'm not sure who says this, whether it's Doolan or it's the constable. Hey stranger, you really any good at tracking? And Wolverine here says, I'm the best at what I do, as he fingers that scar. So that's really well done. And now we pick up with Ike, and he's there dragging the 16-year-old Go Lightly girl. And you can see the way that Silvestri's drawn her. To my eye, it looks like he's been looking at some Milo Manara books, because she's completely out of a Milo Manara comic in terms of her design. In any case, this Ike guy, he's a bit of a brute. He's dragging her along. He's threatening to kill her there. And then, this is a great little moment, he sees this sun reflecting on something out there. He says, I think he's a native French speaker. And so he pushes her down. Down, girlie, you be mine shooting rest. And cover, eh? Like I said, he's a bit of a brute. He's no gentleman, let's say. And so he catches sight through his rifle sights of the Mounties. Look at that. They send one of those little boy Mounties for old Ike. Don't flinch, girlie. This is going to be loud. So the constable there, Constable Morris, is in his sights. What's going to happen next? It's going to be brutal. You can see the Jeep here catching the light of the sun. And this is a great little sequence. This is a tremendous sequence where the shot goes off straight into Morris's chest. It's shot him in the heart. He's dead. It comes out the back of the seat and it hits Logan in the thigh. And then it goes all the way out of his leg and out of the petrol tank or the gas tank of the Jeep as well, and hits the road. What a great little sequence here. And so the Jeep, with the driver dead, goes over the side of the road, catches fire, explodes. Yeah, great sequence here. And I love the way that Silvestri and Dan Green have shown the cast shadows from the tree trunks here, and it gives you a sense of the snow and the texture of the snow on the road as the Jeep is climbing. Really good. So the gas tank blows, and here is Wolverine hiding behind whatever it might be, some piece of rock or something of that order, and he's putting together what's happened. High power rifle above us, 30-06, setting suns behind the shooter. So Doolan says, open country, can't sneak up on Ike when he's got the light, and can't see to track at night, especially this night, no moon. And this sets him thinking, it was a moonless night when I jumped out of a burning C-47 over Ranville, Normandy, with the first stick of the 1st Canadian Parachute Battalion. And there's a little note here, and it's going to be from Larry Hama. They jumped as an element of the 6th British Airborne Division on June 6th, 1944. So that's interesting. He was there in the Normandy landings, a parachute trooper. And he remembers also how he was 18. And so that means, like, in the time setting of this story, that he is, what does it mean? That he is 46 and 18, he's 54, he's 64, he's coming right up to retirement age. And he remembers the corporal who jumped before him, and he wanted to be as fierce as the corporal, and is thinking how he hasn't thought of him in years. He wouldn't have bungled this like I have. Poor Morrissey didn't deserve to die like that, and now Ike is going to get away with it. But here, Logan in the background, in silhouette, is taking off his shirt, and he's taking something brown and orange from his backpack. He says, I don't need light to track him. And then a great panel here of Wolverine in his orange and brown outfit. And he says, and in the dark, Ike won't see me creeping up on him. You coming with me or not? So Doolan says, I sure ain't sitting here alone with that beastie out there hunting for fresh meat. Some costume you got there. I like this little bit of dialogue here. You one of them superheroes, he asks Wolverine. And Wolverine just says, yeah, what about it? And that's it. And then Doolan says, maybe that explains why your leg stopped bleeding. Maybe. So we pick up with Ike dragging the girl up towards the high passes, and she hears this call in the dark, and it wasn't a wolf. She twigs to it being the hunter in darkness, but Ike here thinks that it's only an Indian fairy tale. I like the design of his face as well by Silvestri. He's got a really squat looking face and a really wide mouth. Again, very Milo Manara. If you know Milo Manara's work, you know what I'm talking about there. And then, here we go, another great page. So, Wolverine is going through the river in order to avoid being tracked by the beast. And Doolan says to him, the beastie, as he hears it crying out, how come you didn't sniff it out there before it was this close? And Wolverine says, same reason I didn't sniff out Ike's ambush, the wind changed again. And here we get our first glimpse since the cover of this big creature, this huge kind of werewolf-like creature. And Wolverine here is just talking, if that critter hunts by smell, like a figure, it's staying downwind of us. So it's downwind of them there. And Doolan says it could be right on top of us and you wouldn't know it. Ironic. That's right, says Wolverine. And then the beast leaps. Great panel here with the beast in silhouette in the foreground leaping off the side of the riverbank, and the two lads in the middle of the river. But the beast just leaps on Wolverine. And so Wolverine says to Doolan, get away. It's me who wants. But it's too dark for Doolan. It's a moonless night to get a clear shot. So he's asking himself, where's his flashlight? Then we pick up again with Ike farther along, and he's wondering what it is that's roaring out there in the dark. He thinks it's a wounded bear, and she says, no bear ever sounded like that. I'm telling you, that's the hunter, and that's the sound of it killing. So here we have this fight between Wolverine, this feral, bestial, savage fight between beast and man-beast. And Doolan gets the light on. This is a great little panel here where we've got the yellow of the light flashing up in the features of the hunter in darkness, and it's got Wolverine's forearm in its mouth about to chomp down, and Wolverine just shouts out, kill that light. But up in the hills farther along, Ike sees them, and now he's about to shoot at Doolan, saying he's going to be one dead Mountie. So this is a great little panel here. We've got that, I always pointed out, Glynis Oliver trope, a moment of violence. She'll colour in the background of the panel red. So the hunter in darkness guts Wolverine, and Ike shoots Sergeant Doolan with his .306. So it's gone right through his chest and out the back. And the flashlight drops, and it's there pointing at his face. And here in the background, you've got Wolverine trying to hold in his guts. He says, gotta hold everything in until my mutant healing power can kick into overdrive. You conscious, Doolan? I can hear you breathing. And Doolan there is flashing back, kill that light. Where did I hear that before? Where did I hear that spoken by that same voice? He's still kicking, thinks Wolverine, but he's 1,000 miles away in his head, dusting off old memories stashed way back in some forgotten corner of his subconscious. Let's continue. Wolverine's got pressing problems with the hunter in darkness, but it's paused and it's thinking also. And in his first person narration, he says, powerful memories for a beast who hunts by smell and hearing, a beast who hunts by hearing because he's as good as blind. That voice, thinks Doolan, all those memories getting jumbled together, where he's back in Normandy. I like the way that Silvestri's kind of transition there between Doolan in the present, dying in the snow, and then the memory of himself as a young 18-year-old man strung up in a tree after his parachute jump. He's thinking about cutting himself out, but he can't see the ground because it's so dark. It's a moonless night, June 5th, 1944. They waited for that, for the Normandy landings and the parachuting in as well. Could be inches away or 50 feet the ground, so he pulls out his lighter and then kill that light. Somebody's there, caught in the tree beside him. It was the corporal. He was hung up in the next tree, sawing through his shrouds with that big double-edged Fairburn knife of his. He'd lost his rifle. I doused the light, but it was too late. So they're spotted by some a patrol from the 21st Panzer Grenadiers crack troops. They just weren't expecting to get charged by a lone paratrooper swinging a knife. How'd I get to feeling so old again? Chest hurts. So he's bleeding out, but still the memories are coming to him of that fateful night in June 1944. Ike up here, still taking pot shots because the flashlight's still on, shoots the hunter in darkness in the chest. Wolverine here in his first person narration says the hunter in darkness was just standing there like he was thinking real hard on something when that big bore bullet smacks through him with a noise like meat hitting the table. He hits the ground with the dim light of memory dancing in those half-blind eyes. Is he remembering back to that icy winter? Getting your foot caught in a steel bear trap is not something you're likely to forget right quick. So Doolin's got his memories, and the hunter in darkness has memories too. So who is it that helps him out of the bear trap? It's Wolverine. It's Logan when he was mad and had lost his memories, lost his mind. But he thinks to himself in the present, did I stumble on him all tore up and in pain? What was I thinking? Did he offer me his throat, hoping for a clean death? What did he think when it didn't come? Why would I break the chain and drag that trap to draw the hunters off his trail? Was it some little spark of human compassion left in that shambling beast? He means himself there, as he walks away, stooped over down the hillside, pulling the bear trap behind him. Yeah, and again you can see borderless panels for the flashbacks here. So up on the hill, Ike is still using his rifle, but the girl kicks it out of his hand and she runs off in the darkness. And so he's looking around for his rifle, and now the beast decides that it's going to leave Wolverine where he is and go after something else. And Wolverine thinks, as he lurches up the hill, I'm thinking, is that hunger for food or for revenge that's moving him, driving him, even though he's been shot in the chest? Another great page here. Doolin's still hanging on in there, and he recognizes Wolverine's walk, that stooped over posture. I knew it. I knew that I saw you someplace before. I remember it now, that wild thing I tracked over these hills. The bear trap wasn't clamped to its leg. It was dragging it along as if creating a trail. It wasn't the hunter in darkness I shot all those years ago. It was you. So that's confirmed. We had that suspicion from the beginning of the story, but it's confirmed now. And then he's thinking, but how can that be? This stranger also has the voice of the corporal. So now we're learning something very interesting about Wolverine's past. 2 points of his past. So Doolin's confused. They can't all be the same, can they? The last time I saw the corporal, it was that awful, horrible sound. So the girl is running. Something huge and muscled catches up with her. But who is it? Here's Ike in the darkness, and he takes out his lighter. He's looking for his rifle. He thinks the girl is dead meat. And just as he clicks the lighter on, look who's there. It's the hunter in darkness. Huge. That's a really great shot. Great lighting on the beast as well. And then the lighter falls from his hands. And I like the sound effects here. So he screams, and then we get this. This is brilliant. Rip, crack, pop. So basically the idea there is that the beast has like pulled his head off and cracked open his rib cage, and then starts eating the body. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Really macabre stuff, but so good as well. So that's the end of Ike. He got his comeuppance, but Doolin is still alive, and he's flashing back, still remembering back to 1944. Now, these particular panels they're not open bordered. It might have been nice for them to be open bordered too, just to have that flashback device consistent throughout the issue. So what's going on here is it's the corporal, and he is in a berserker rage, howling like a wild beast. He was a demon, cutting down men like pigs on market day. The air under that flare was pink with blood, and the screaming, Lord, the screaming. He was right in the middle of them, so close they couldn't shoot, and even if they did, I don't think he would have gone down. The corporal, what was his name? It was something simple, a solid Canadian name. It was something like, and you know, the reader's thinking, is it going to be Logan? Is it going to be Logan? Logan. And then he's dead. What a great ending. Just 3 horizontal panels. He has the realization, Logan, and Wolverine's back, and it's him who met the girl. He met the girl. So she's saved, the 16-year-old girl, the Go Lightly girl. And Doolan's dead. But Wolverine has a little mystery. How did he know my name? So there you go. So he won't, like, Logan doesn't know what we, the reader, knows about the fact that he was a corporal, a paratrooper on the 5th of June 1944 with the Canadian Air Force parachuting into Normandy. That's really cool. So we know that about his past, but he doesn't. So the letters page. No letters yet about the Larry Hama and Marc Silvestri run. And then there is an advertisement for the next issue. Guest stars galore: Alpha Flight's Puck, Lady Deathstrike and Donald Pierce of the Reavers, and Ernest Hemingway. So that's quite the advertisement for the next issue. Well, I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary on Wolverine 34. I think this is a really, really nice comic, and certainly one, if you don't have it in your back issue collection, I think you should go out and get a copy of this. I think it's beautiful work by the whole creative team. A done in one issue. It's a splendid, splendid piece of work, a splendid comic. Let me know what you think of it in the comments to this video. And if you enjoyed my review and commentary, please like the video on YouTube. It really helps the channel. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.